Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Standing Strong Knoxville. In 1961, a small group of East Tennesseans organized around a set of powerful ideas, concepts that were pretty revolutionary in their time. They believed that everyone deserves safe, affordable, quality health care. They believed that a person's reproductive decisions were theirs and theirs alone. They believed that services could be provided in an environment free of shame and judgment. Quite simply, they believed in the importance of care, no matter what. Together, they formed Planned Parenthood Association of the Southern Mountains, which over the next 60 years evolved into the East Tennessee anchor of Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi. As our affiliate has grown, so has our staff, and so has the dire need for services in this region. But shockingly, the idea of providing compassionate, high-quality health care in some ways remains as controversial today as it was 60 years ago. That's why your support for our growth in Knoxville is crucial right now. Even as we gather here to celebrate, we know that there are many who seek to terrorize our patients, attack our facilities, and eliminate abortion access altogether. They may use laws, they may use epithets, or they may use weapons. But we know that together we are stronger than all of that. What drives us forward is the dignity of our patients, the determination and courage of our physicians and staff, and the generosity of each and every one of you who share our mission and determination to fight stigma, ignorance, and fear in East Tennessee. And just from knowing our Knoxville staff and supporters, I can tell you that the sheer grit on this side of the state is in a class of its own. Word to the wise, do not get between East Tennessee folks and their right to anything. Tonight, we begin writing a new chapter about what Planned Parenthood means to the next generation of East Tennesseans who need the care and education that we offer. Tonight, we recommit ourselves to another 60 years of building a strong, informed, empowered community of advocates who stand up and speak out when our rights are under attack. A new era of Planned Parenthood in Knoxville begins now.
I am originally from East Tennessee. I feel deeply, deeply rooted in this region of the state. I've lived in Knoxville for about 16, 17 years now. In that time, really have come to feel like Knoxville is my home. And I think a big piece of that has been the community that I've built being a part of Planned Parenthood. This is an area where there are still a lot of folks in power who have regressive policies on all of the issues that we care deeply about. The sense of community that it creates to know that you are kind of the underdogs together, that you're fighting for what's right. You're fighting for basic human rights. So I'm actually really grateful to get to do this type of work, this type of really hard work in a community that I know can get there.
Planned Parenthood officials say someone fired a shotgun into the door of the Knoxville Center. The group says it happened about 6 this morning. No one was hurt.
I think all of us were trying to kind of figure out, well, now what? This was the first act of clinic violence that we have seen like this in Tennessee. And I remember coming in that Friday and we were cleaning up and we were getting ready so that we could reopen our doors on Monday morning. And when we did reopen our doors on Monday morning, we were met with person after person coming by, dropping off flowers and cards and lunch and breakfast and snacks, and really showering us with love. I think it was reaffirmed twofold. Knoxville is here for us in the same way that we are here for Knoxville. For so long, people haven't been investing in Tennessee because they see us as a lost cause. And I cannot underline enough how critical it is to have these investments to be able to do this work. When you have more staff on the ground who work for Planned Parenthood, it creates a space for people to be able to talk about abortion and talk about birth control and talk about their own lived experiences around these issues. I feel deeply, and I will die on this hill, that through conversations, through being in the community and through being active, connected parts of our communities, that we can help people understand that reproductive freedom is a Tennessean value.
Everyone deserves information about their bodies that is not rooted in shame or stigma, because we all have bodies. I came to this work because I have always felt really passionate about youth development. All of our peer education models are based on the idea that young people are advocates for themselves when given the proper tools. And we have pretty amazing peer education groups.
Hi, we're the FYI Peer Educators.
FYI stands for For Your Information, and they are changing the world through conversations with their peers.
I started volunteering for Planned Parenthood when I was 15 years old with the FYI program, which I now run. I got involved with FYI because I was really appalled at how the sex education in my public high school went, and so I felt really inspired and motivated by the work Planned Parenthood was doing to empower them to actually make decisions that feel right to them.
FYI is really lovely, and the way that they have really done a great job of marrying the advocacy with the education. And that was kind of the first peer education group to recognize just how closely advocacy and community engagement is with education.
We plan and participate in a bunch of different advocacy events throughout the school year. We set up meetings with their legislators, and they get to actually talk face to face with their legislators and tell them about what things are like from their perspective around sexual health and reproductive rights. And it's really cool to watch them gain more confidence over the course of the program.
A message funneled implicitly through everything FYI does sort of have a branching effect where we tell a friend or a group of friends something, and then now they know that and they impart it onto who they know, and so on and so forth. That certainly is a way of changing the world.
They also each year do Framing Choice, where they take a picture of something that represents choice to them.
Teenagers make hard choices all the time, deciding what they want for their lives and what they don't want for their lives. And that's so much of what sex ed is, so it's a really cool, empowering project.
We're deep in the Bible Belt, and things aren't great in Tennessee. And yet we have a space that is focused on comprehensive sex ed in a room full of teenagers, a lot of us who are disenfranchised in our own way, coming together to discuss that. And we find a lot of people willing to listen. Things can be bad, but we can find and we can make our own good. I think all of that is so crucial.
I'm excited to see the worlds that you all go out and build.
RISE was chosen as our East Tennessee Educators of the Year because they are doing some really groundbreaking work in an area that is traditionally underserved by sex ed.
We are a small nonprofit in a rural area doing something that is controversial, and all three of those things make what we do really hard.
I really felt that RISE deserved the Educator of the Year award this year because I think they provide such a valuable service to people in Northeast Tennessee.
While we are present in East Tennessee, we don't have any educators in the Johnson City area, and we would much rather support and develop and empower the folks who are already there.
Our vision statement talks about providing and promoting comprehensive sex ed, or as we call it, responsible, inclusive sex ed. But we also advocate by talking with legislators, both at the state and national level, about the importance of sex ed and not hiding information from people about their bodies and about their emotions and about themselves.
Their program is just growing exponentially, and they're adding so many amazing things, and I feel really lucky that they are doing what they're doing and that we have them as an ally in this work.
The alliances, they're tremendously important. There's so much that we couldn't do by ourselves that we can do together. Molly told us about their Pure Sexuality Educator program and set us up with all the information we need to get one going.
It's really amazing. It was just such a quick turnaround that they had this fully formed peer education group.
It has been a fantastic experience for us, and it's been a really great experience for our PSEs. And we're looking forward to going into our second year of PSE, and it wouldn't have been possible without Molly's help. We're better together, and we can do so much more together than we can on our own.
In East Tennessee, there's this very specific tenacity, this fight. It's the entirety of Appalachian resistance living on every day, and it's a beautiful thing. In January of 2017, I became a full-time community organizer for Planned Parenthood. We realized the fight ahead of us and how hard it was going to be, And we also realized we had an outpouring of support of people wanting to fight and not be quiet anymore about their support for Planned Parenthood. And we've just been growing so much ever since. This is the year we're digging in deeper. We just hired a Chattanooga community organizer, and now here in Knoxville we have Hannah, our community engagement coordinator. I'm really grateful that Planned Parenthood does invest in a strong advocacy team. Advocacy means everything from the personal to the political to everything in between. It can mean making sure people are registered to vote. It can mean talking about stigma and what's taboo and making things no longer taboo. Advocacy work, it's work. This takes time and energy and effort and the space to train people well to really dig in and build those relationships. And when I think about having a real conference room space for events and all of the trainings we can do, I'm just so excited. I'm like counting down the minutes.
Jax is beyond words, honestly. They volunteer for every single thing, like literally every single thing.
I started getting involved with Planned Parenthood several years ago. I'm the kind of person that once I find information and access, I want everybody to know. So I wanted to put my skills to use with an organization I knew that would make a difference.
Jax doesn't just volunteer, but brings others into the work with them, and just so effortlessly makes everyone feel loved and supported.
You don't have to be an expert to have your voice heard. People have this passion, this support that they want to give, but they don't know what channels to put it into. And I think that's where I really like to do the volunteer work.
They work so hard to keep others in the community informed, like this glowing beacon of truth and light and information.
I love giving that kind of power and knowledge to people so that they feel like their needs are better addressed as a whole.
So thank you, Jax, so much. Thank you for all that you do for us, from making calls to talking to legislators, to talking to strangers about abortion stigma, to being a patient greeter, to truly everything. Thank you.
I think the most exciting thing about East Tennessee are its people. East Tennessee folks are some of the most radical, in-your-face, no apology, courageous truth tellers there are in the state. Absolutely, hands down. It is really fun to work with East Tennesseans. Tennessee Advocates for Planned Parenthood is the advocacy and political arm to protect Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi and make sure that PPTNM can provide the needed health care and sex education in the community that's needed. We can do unlimited lobbying, so we can be at the state capitol and at the legislature advocating for the needs for reproductive rights and justice. And we can take on some electoral work, which our 501c3 Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi can't. When I first came, we did not have a Republican supermajority. We had a Democratic governor, and both houses were Democrat. So the shift to a red state really has been somewhat recent. And right now, we're on the defensive, defending our rights. Right now in the legislature, our biggest fight is the forced birth agenda. And the forced birth agenda is made up of several bills that do exactly that. It is taking away a person's right to obtain an abortion, which essentially is forcing birth. It is taking someone's personal power and decision-making ability over their own lives and handing it over to the state. There's the medical tissue burial bill, which would force our patients to either choose a burial or a cremation for their fetus. There's 2 total abortion bans that would ban abortion once a pregnancy is detected. And then there was another, which is essentially a personhood bill. In 2021, we're coining as the year of the relationship for Planned Parenthood. Deep values canvassing is not about a candidate. It's not fast. You're really not trying to sell anything. You're just really listening. And when we go to the door, we talk about abortion. You would be surprised at how candid and vulnerable people at the door are with perfect strangers. And the more we engage with folks, we find that at the end of the conversation, they move closer to our view. It's really helping them articulate for themselves what they actually believe, and we find that it's actually aligned with our perspective. What I like about it is that it's not transactional. It's really deep listening, which I think is necessary for a healthy democracy. And I think that's what TAP is interested in for the folks that we represent. The lessons from Georgia are simply investing early, not just during an election cycle. We need that money like in times like now, during the year of the relationship, so we can start planting the seeds. The long road is really about gardening, enabling more of those connections to happen in communities so that we have a stronger and more powerful voice for reproductive freedom in Tennessee.
Any organization that brings much needed health care, the health care provided by Planned Parenthood, we need this. We've worked with Planned Parenthood both in the Illinois, St. Louis area, both down in the Texas area. We've worked with Planned Parenthood in Alabama, and of course, obviously, the affiliates here in Tennessee. If there's a Planned Parenthood that we can help and help their project and help them, regardless of whether or not we have a financial interest, regardless of whether or not we're doing the construction, we're here and we want to help.
I've spent 10 years working in our beloved building on Cherry Street. I've spent so much time in that building that sometimes I accidentally call the lobby the den.
I love this health center. My entire life is based around this health center, but this building was made to be a dentist's office. It wasn't made to be all of the things that we at Planned Parenthood are.
What we have there now is a building with 4,000 square feet. That's not brand new. What we're building now is adding an additional 4,000, which will give us an 8,000 foot facility, both an all new exterior. There'll be a new landscaping, new drives, new parking. Both the existing part and the new part will be upgraded to the most modern technology for a medical facility.
For me personally, the ability to offer the full range of abortion services in Knoxville has been something that I've dreamed about since I started.
I'm so proud to be a part of an organization that prioritizes this area of care.
To finally have the ability to provide all of those services that our patients need without having to send them to another facility, to having to send them to another city. I'm so grateful that we're going to be able to do that.
Every construction project has quality, which has to come first and can't be compromised. Second of all, you have budget. And third of all, you have time or your schedule. Quality, we can maintain quality. Budget is a challenge. It is a challenge. It's very frustrating at times when because of resistance, we'll have a subcontractor or a material supplier that either tries to take advantage of us price-wise, or they try to, or just back out and they won't do it, and it sends us on to the next person. When we receive the resistance from the zoning, we receive resistance from code enforcement, when everything's laid out and the material supplier says, we're not sending our cement trucks out there, it delays the project. Regardless of this, we're going to be successful. We will not fail because of it. We'll succeed in spite of it.
To have a space that is welcoming and reflects the care that Planned Parenthood puts into our community and into the care that we give, to have that reflected in the way that our space looks and feels, I think is going to be so important.
You know, I have to be careful and just do my job and not want to give a stump speech about how wonderful both Planned Parenthood is and any organization that provides unquestionable health care to a population that needs this care.
We are extremely grateful to all of our donors and supporters because their generosity allows us to continue our mission, but not only that, it allows us to continue our mission without judgment. And that is extremely important to the people that we serve. I see it in all facets of what we do. I had a patient presenting for medication abortion, and it was her first day of counseling. And at the end of the counseling session, after I had concluded her counseling, the patient looked at me and she said, "Is that all?" And I said, "I don't understand. What do you mean, is that all?" And she said, "Well, I'm just waiting. I was waiting to be judged. I was in awe of that. I had to remind her, there's no judgment here. We support you in every facet, in any decision that you make. That is part of our job and what we do and how we service you. So anytime we walk through these doors, there will never be any judgment. That translates across the board for us. If I have a patient coming for gender affirming hormone therapy, the appreciation and relief in their eyes when they realize they have come to a clinical healthcare setting where they feel like they are not judged, they can be who they are and still get quality, affordable care. And it's a very important part of what I do. It's also important to understand that when patients come in to us, it is often a difficult decision that they trust us to help move them through because they feel judgment from so many other places. It is very common for me to see, for instance, a patient struggling with their faith about their healthcare decisions. And I take it as a privilege for me to be able to say, I see you, I'm here to help walk you through this process. I'm here to be a source of trust, but not a source of judgment. And for you to know that you can still make the proper health decisions and stand in your faith in the way that makes you feel you are whole. And now I want to cry.
Tonight, you have seen what makes Planned Parenthood such an essential part of East Tennessee.
For more than 80 years, we've been a place of care, compassion, information, healing, and health for thousands of individuals across Tennessee.
In spite of political attacks and endless attempts to intimidate, frustrate, and weaken us.
Our resolve has only grown stronger thanks to you.
Our movement is at a crossroads.
How we choose to commit ourselves in the days, weeks, and months ahead
will define what Planned Parenthood means to the next generation of people in Knoxville, Chattanooga, and beyond.
We know that now is not the time to rest.
Now is not the time to accept the status quo.
Now is the time to prepare for the future.
The Knoxville Now campaign will ensure that our mission of care and service not only endures, but thrives.
This campaign will change lives through expanded and enhanced patient services,
including access to safe and legal surgical abortion.
This campaign will allow us to reach the next generation of East Tennesseans today.
To prevent unintended pregnancies and the spread of preventable diseases tomorrow.
It'll strengthen our education services, creating sexual health and well-being.
This campaign will help us develop a new army of fearless, knowledgeable advocates.
By providing honest and accurate information through education and outreach.
Who will fight to ensure access to reproductive health services for everyone, no matter what.
Our target goal of $250,000 will be put to use immediately in our critical healthcare, education, and advocacy work.
Tonight, we are proud to announce that the overwhelming generosity of East Tennesseans has set us well on our way to reaching this ambitious goal.
As of Monday evening, we have secured nearly $97,000 in donations.
What we need to help us cross the finish line right now is you.
We urge you to join us by making a gift tonight.
Your donation will make our community healthier.
And our movement even stronger.
Thank you for believing that change is possible in East Tennessee.
Thank you for your unwavering support, and thank you for standing with Planned Parenthood.
Right here, right now, no matter what.